You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. It's a mailbag. We answer all your questions on our Monday live show. Some via Super Chat, some just general hashtag Cowboys questions, and some come in via Super Thanks. On demand, we will always shout you guys out. From Jay Smooth, Dallas needs to cut Noah Brown. He sucks. I like T.Y. better than Brown for real. Good news. Noah Brown is a free agent. You don't have to cut him. He is a receiver 5-ish, and they made him into a receiver 2. Went the way it was always going to go, unfortunately. So check out Super Thanks if you haven't already. It's a new-ish feature on YouTube. Instead of only being able to donate during live shows, you can now donate outside of live videos. You can click the thanks icon, edit your message to send it to us. We appreciate your support. Any Super Thanks will get a shout-out at some point here on the Cowboys Report. From Matt Batten, who's been a big-time Super Thankser, that's the right verbiage, yeah, it is, of late, I'd rather have Cooks trade him for a second-round pick or a third-round pick. That's Brandin Cooks. Plenty of trade buzz on him. They almost had him at the deadline, but they didn't like the guaranteed money this year, which means that is still going to be a potential problem for this Dallas Cowboys team, just the overall money invested at that point. A $10 Super Thanks from Ryan McCartney. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you and the Chat Sports crew, my go-to for Cowboys news and updates. Thank you very much, Ryan. I really do appreciate that. If you agree with Ryan, tell your friends about us and make sure everyone you know subscribes to the Cowboys Report. According to my mother, it's the best Cowboys mailbag out there. And, of course, it is the most subscribed Cowboys YouTube channel. And it's all free. Hit that sub button right now. Jordan Ramirez, Super Thanks. What about bringing back Anthony Brown as cornerback number 2? It's a really good question with a bit of a complicated answer. On one hand, despite the Anthony Brown haters, of which there were many, the Cowboys really missed him last year. They went through trying out Kelvin Joseph, Nashawn Wright. They gave Xavier Rhodes a shot. They tried Trayvon Mullen. They eventually settled on the combination of Deron Bland, Israel Mukuamu, which was pretty good in the playoff game and gives me hope for that spot long term, although, you know, risking or betting it on 2 later round picks is a bit dicey there. But he's also coming off a torn Achilles. He's going to be 30 this upcoming season. Because of that, I'd probably move on from Anthony Brown. If he wants to sign a cheap 1-year deal, sure. But I think I'd rather take another top 75 pick flyer or investment on corner than to bring back Anthony Brown. So do you want to re-sign Anthony Brown? Y for yes, N for no. You guys can vote for me in the comments section of today's video. From Tom's second kid, who also had a super chat on this, by the way. Place not a franchise tag on Pollard, reject the matching offer, have 2 first-rounders in exchange. It's a good idea in theory, but it's not going to work in application because there's not going to be a team that gives up 2 first-round picks for Pollard. I would do it in a heartbeat, but no one else was going to. From Ecuador Man AOG, how can anyone believe $13 million plus for Zeke and Tony Pollard? You can't pay your 2 backs that much money unless it's like, 5 or 6 and 7. That's fine. But if you're paying Pollard 10 on the franchise tag or extension long term, you can't bring back Zeke at his current number. It's way too much money for not nearly enough production. From Winston Shan, cornerback Julius Brents to the Cowboys. Although that is the Kansas State cornerback, I think Dan Quinn would too. Has the size and length and overall he tends to covet. I am excited to see how he tests this year at the NFL Combine. I know Tom Pelissero said sub 4.4. I don't think he's that fast. If he is, great. Helps his draft stock. But day 2, early day 3, it's a good name at corner. Chris B., money aside, would you trade our first for Jalen Ramsey and our second for DeAndre Hopkins? If we get the money for it, I definitely would. Get 2 good players. The money there is the real issue because I don't think you can make it work. You would have to pay probably both those guys big deals, and you have 2 young guys at the same spots also due for new deals, unless you wanted to, move on from Diggs. The money for the Cowboys' own self-imposed positions, and given the age of those guys, is probably a real issue. But in a bubble, yes, I would. Today's Cow Report is sponsored by Cultivate, the free browser extension that brings transparency to your Amazon shopping experience. Cultivate shows you the brand, seller, or product origin and identifies local alternatives that support local community efforts while saving you money. Over 50% of Amazon U.S. sellers based in China. Cultivate offers a way to avoid trickery from these sellers and keep money in the U.S. economy. Cultivate offers alternatives that are on average 30% less expensive than Amazon without any additional costs, such as Amazon Prime. It can even identify local alternatives you can pick up the same day. Cultivate users or donations by increasing your level. And in fact, Cultivate donates 51% of the revenue they make on your purchase. So what are you waiting for? Go to wecultivate.us/chatsports and download Cultivate for free. Let Cultivate bring transparency, savings, and community support to your Amazon shopping journey. Support the show and download with our link. It's in the comments and the description of today's video. It's wecultivate.us/chatsports. This is one of the several $50 super chats. We slapped Jeremy for the lunatic. Options for Dorance Armstrong because Sam Williams has to be unleashed. You could cut or trade Dorance Armstrong, save $4-ish million. I doubt they bring back Dante because I agree with your overall point there, lunatic. I want to get Sam Williams more reps and more chances on the field in year 2, a potential breakout season for the former Ole Miss defender. You have Chauncey Golston there too. In general, I'm simply not going to bring back Dante Fowler. I can draft someone or send another cheaper veteran option because I think you're in pretty good shape at the edge rusher position as a group. The other 50 from DeLunatics, I think Philadelphia and the Giants will force dollar bill Steve Jones to be more active in free agency. I would like it if that was the case. My suspicion is Stephen Jones will see Eagles lost, therefore doesn't count, and the Bills spent money, and they made it exactly as far as you did. Therefore, our way's just as good. I wish they were more aggressive, and I have to see it to believe it. Ecuador man, that's Osiris Torrence, guard from Florida, or Steve Avila, guard from TCU, in your opinion. I will have Torrence higher, barring just a combine disaster or just bonkers numbers from Avila. But I'll have Torrence in that round 1 range, Avila in the round 2 range. I'd be happy with either. Overall, it's not a great guard class. And those two, from what I've done so far, Torrence is my number 1 guard. I got Skronsky at tackle, and Avila in there as my second best guard. Other tackles could shift inside, but pure guards, those two are my top 2. From Crackerjack, about signing Saquon Barkley instead of Tony Pollard. My suspicion is because Barkley will be a full-on free agent, you got to win a bidding war for him. And I don't think I ever want to win a bidding war at running back. That just doesn't look like a great idea. Plus, we're worried about Pollard being able to hold up. Barkley's missed a lot of time the past couple of years. Now, look at the difference in the numbers this year. Saquon Barkley had almost 100 more carries for about 300 more yards. It's not that great of a ratio there. Way more catches for fewer yards. There is an argument, not saying I'm making it, but there is an argument that Pollard is better than Saquon. Now, I don't know if Pollard could handle, 350 touches. I also don't know if I want to give him that many touches. So pick a running back. Let's say the money is similar. Who would it be? SB for Saquon Barkley or TP for Tony Pollard? Head down to the comments section and vote for me right now. From Sam Jordan, the salary cap needs to be way higher. Seems like 90% of teams are going to stay under the cap. Players always demand more than they're really worth. I would agree on the cap being higher. I also know that the salary cap jumps up each and every single year. It jumped up $16 million this year, so it's going to keep rising. And I think those players are what demand more than they're worth because they're getting paid it. So the market says that they're worth it in the end. From Gangsta Big Chungus, how do you feel about Mike calling the plays? If he fails, is he fired? Yeah, if he fails, he's out of here. He's not gonna stick around as the Cowboys' long-term head coach. If it's a disaster, he's out of there. Leroy Pearson Jr., then some more super chats coming up soon too. You think you can get Ben Powers for 4 years, 40? If you could, I'd sign him over Dalton Reisner. My suspicion is he might get like 4 years, 45, or even approaching a little bit more than that. I think he's one of the better free agent guards, better than Reisner. That's a good name if you want to get one of the best guards in free agency. Chris B., preparing myself for DJ Chark or Robert Woods, their only big name free agency acquisition. Fully ready for Catboy to let me down again. I understand your pain, Chris B. I trust me, I do. I hope that is not the case. My suspicion when it's all said and done is, yeah, that's the route they'll end up going. They signed 3 free agents last year. On the bright side, I'd say DJ Chark is a lot better than James Washington, which I know is a very low bar to clear. Billy from Irving, should we be out on Jalen Tolbert? So I'm not out on Tolbert yet. I think it's a bit unfair to bail on a third-round pick after 1 year. Now, the Cowboys did make mistakes here. The Cowboys, I'll put myself in this category because I liked him a lot coming out of South Alabama, so I'll use we here. We might not be wrong on the player. We could still very well be right that Tolbert ends up being a good wide receiver who I had a second/third round grade, ends up being a good number 2 for you. But what we were wrong on was the timeline. And that matters a lot from when the Cowboys, I'm not blaming myself here, the Cowboys' standpoint was, we'll bank on the third-round pick, immediately making a big impact, which was always an unrealistic position, though I liked him a lot coming out of South Alabama. So, player being wrong on? Maybe. Timeline? Absolutely. So what is your confidence level, then, in Jalen Tolbert? It's fine if it's low. He was bad this year. Scale it for me from 1 to 10 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Ecuador man, trade down and take, I assume you mean Jahmyr Gibbs. What do you think? If the board's picked over, I am down to trade down. I might still go corner, maybe a receiver there. But if you don't keep Pollard or Zeke, I think Gibbs is a great Pollard replacement for you. From Samuel, trade a 2023 third and a fourth for DeForest Buckner. Cowboys need to get a disruptive force in the interior of the defensive line. Take some position off Micah Parsons. If I could make that happen for Buckner, I'm in. I think that's a bit on the light side trade value-wise. But I think that'd be a great acquisition because he's an awesome player. I think you got to give at least the top 50 pick there. From Peter, is my need to try to acquire Caleb Williams that doesn't work a pipe dream? I think the reality is it will be. I'm not saying it's a bad dream. It's a good one. But let's say the Cowboys have the worst year under Dak Prescott that they've ever had. They will finish 7-9. They'll finish 1 game under 500. Hashtag they added the game, right? 8-9. That's the worst they would have ever had under Prescott. They'll be picking around 16. How you getting to number 1? That's the issue in the end. Big Woody, have you seen the Byron Jones tweet? What are your thoughts? I think that surgery did not go very well. I think if at some level, given the way that Byron seems to be mad at the Dolphins coach or medical staff and the Tua handling, maybe there's some question marks about that because that's not normal. The injuries are a real concern. The claim was he wasn't retired, so I think he's kind of done, unfortunately. $5 from Mark. Aloha. Any excellent free agency guards out there to nab? I think you're looking at, who's the Eagles guy again, Jeremy? Isaac Seumalo. Seumalo, thank you. That's a good name. Ben Powers of the Ravens, Dalton Reisner of the Broncos. All good options, but got to pay probably around $10 million a year. That's probably where it's at. Between cornerback, receiver, DT, and guard, I think drop to us a pick 1, a day 1 starter. I think if you're trying to get guard in round 1, he's going to start for you. Maybe that's Osiris Torrence. Cornerback, maybe. I don't love the DTs. I think they'd be more rotational pieces for you. Brazil kind of scares me a lot. Mozzie Smith scares me too. Receiver, if it's like a JSN, would be a day 1 starter for you as well. If we did not get to your question, blame Jeremy. Hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowny. My DMs are open, answering any and all questions that you guys have for us.